Right this very moment, what state are you in? What, not the geographical state. I'm asking you, are you in the rest and digest state, or are you in the fight or flight state? Which state are you in? I'm going to guess that you are in the rest and digest state. That is to say, you're not fighting somebody or something, you're not fleeing from somebody or something. You're just relaxing. Guess what? That's normal. It activates your parasympathetic nervous system. It provides you or secures your good metabolic health, mental health, neurological health. That's where you're supposed to be throughout all of human existence. That's where we have lived. Well, what about this fight or flight state? Well, that is there for emergencies. That's not where you want to live. That activates your sympathetic nervous system, and that's not good for your health. Metabolically, neurologically, psychologically, mentally, not good for your health, but we need it in times of emergency. You know, I like to think of it as kind of like honking your horn when you absolutely positively have to when you're driving down the road. But you don't drive down the road honking your horn all the time. Well, okay, some people do. And speaking of driving down the road, have you noticed that we live in a culture, a society where we are on edge all the time? You get in your car, rush hour, they used to call it, now they call it drive time. But rush hour, everybody's on edge. That's not normal. You go to work, people are fighting with each other. That's not normal. Throughout most of human history, most humans have lived on the farm where we've been hunters and gatherers. Some have lived in metropolitan area cities, but they were kind of stressed out. In fact, you notice this, right? Now, we're going to get to the psychopath in just a moment, the narcissist, but you may have noticed this phenomenon. When you go to a big city, I don't care where it is, but most every big city, you will notice the people are rude, they're inconsiderate, they are very selfish, they're in this defensive mode, they're ready to fight. It seems like all the time, because why are they doing this? Because you threaten them, I guess, or the people threaten them. But you go to a small town somewhere and they're so friendly. Everybody's kind of laid back and you love that environment. What does that have to do with narcissist? Well, the narcissist wants you to be in that fight or flight state all the time. Wants you to be on the edge all the time so he or she can control you. They don't want you to be alone. They want to have their presence in your life perpetually so they can keep you on edge so they can control you. That's what they do. That's how they get their supply. Their supply being anything that boosts their ego. And nothing boosts the ego of a narcissist any more than controlling you or somebody else, anybody. All right. So what we want to do is we want to stop the narcissist from controlling us. I mean, even when the narcissist is not there in our present, they may be emailing us or texting us or calling us or somehow reminding us that they are in our presence, or they may be sending their flying monkeys, as some people call them. I call them narcissists by proxy, reminding us that they're there. So even when they're not in our immediate presence, they're inside our heads. They're controlling us. What we need to do, real simple, we're going to talk about this 6 ways and we're going to tie it all together. But what we need to do is just get alone, get away from them. It's just that simple. We need to dump these people every opportunity we can. I know you got to work with some of them. Maybe some of them are in your family. People, maybe they're not narcissists, full-blown narcissists, but just have narcissistic traits. But still, every opportunity we have, we need to get away from them. We need to get alone in our mind. We need to go to that country town and get away from the hustle and bustle of living in the presence of a narcissist. Number one, because alone time enhances our empathy. Narcissists don't want us to be empathetic. They want us to be fighting and brawling because, again, that's where they control. Now, have you ever noticed when people are with other people, they tend to compete. Sometimes they tend to fight, maybe not physically fight, but they're always competing to get to that alpha position. They're in that status competition always. But when you get alone, you have an opportunity to care about other people, not compete with them. So we need to get away from the narcissist, get alone, so we can develop that strong sense of empathy. Number two is because solitude, and not just getting away from the narcissist, but getting away from anybody. Solitude enhances our productivity. For example, you may have been trying to count money or something, and somebody starts talking to you and you lose track. Maybe you're driving somewhere and you're trying to think, but the car radio rather is playing, so you turn it off so you concentrate. Now, I think this is one of the reasons why homeschooling is so successful. Because you send kids to a school, public or private, doesn't matter, but they are surrounded by the big city of the school. Even if it's a small city, they are constantly being influenced by peer pressure. Sitting in class, some kid behind them talking, maybe poking on them. In the lunchroom, somebody may be fighting with them or bullying them, or maybe there's that social peer pressure competition going on all the time. It's hard to focus. It's hard to be productive when you are in that environment. And some people say, well, you got to be in that environment so you can develop social skills. Well, true. I'll admit that's true, but some of the social skills kids develop are negative social skills. They're not good. Okay, keep your kids at home if you can. School them at home so they can be more productive in the quietness of the home. Unless you have like 20, 30 kids, and it might be, a little bit awkward. But that's just one example of how being alone, getting away from the narcissist and his influence, helps you to be more productive. Number three, not only productive, but creative. Have you ever noticed that artists like to work in studios where they're all by themselves? Writers like to get alone so they can concentrate, so they can be creative. You ever watch one of these James Bond movies? Big deal back in the 1960s. They tried to drag him out, even longer than that. But Ian Fleming, who wrote those novels, movies based upon his novels, best-selling novels, where did he write those? Those stories about James Bond, the hard-drinking, gambling, secret agent who lived the fast life and the fast cars and the fast women. And if he were a cowboy, he would even have fast horses. Where was Ian Fleming when he was writing all this? He was in a small cottage in Jamaica, far removed, living on the ocean, or on the beach at the ocean. My understanding is he built the house himself, or he had it built. And my understanding is for the right price, you can actually rent this house and you can stay there for a week. You can vacation in his cottage. The point being, solitude develops creativity. All right, so the narcissist gets inside your head. Doesn't want you to be alone. So what is he stealing from you? He's stealing your ability to be empathetic. He's stealing your ability to be productive. He's stealing your ability to be creative. But what's more, people who get away from narcissists and get away from people in general, they have that alone time, they tend to be less depressed. I mean, they have better mental health. Now stop and think about it. When you are depressed, what is the source of your depression? Typically, but not always, you are depressed, your depression, I should say, is triggered by other people. Maybe the narcissist himself. The narcissist wants you to be in that environment where you are depressed and therefore you are dependent. Look to the narcissist. He presents himself or she presents himself as your friend, as your buddy. I like to be alone because I like to avoid rejection. And anytime you're with people, you're going to be rejected. You're going to have that hustle bustle, big city fighting, infighting, that competing for the alpha position, in the social hierarchy. Yeah, I like to be around people to remind me why I don't like to be around people. The narcissist wants to keep me in that environment all the time, and you. Number 5 is to avoid destructive social skills. We're not going to talk about this because we already talked about it. We've touched on it several times, but when you're around other people, you develop social skills. Some of them are good, but a lot of them are bad. The more people, it seems, the more stressed and strained we are. I like to be alone. The narcissist doesn't want me to be alone, doesn't want you to be alone. He wants to be there manipulating you all the time. Number 6, you need to be alone, away from narcissists, so you can find your own voice. Keep in mind that narcissists imagine themselves, maybe not literally, but they imagine themselves as being puppet masters. And guess who the puppet is? You. Well, the narcissist is smarter than you. He or she knows better about you than you know about you. And they feel it incumbent upon them to pull your strings because, they're doing it for your own good. Or that's their cover story. What they're really doing is boosting their ego, proving themselves to be better than you, controlling you, and as long as they are doing that, they are stealing your opportunity to find your own voice. And when they are not right there in your presence, they're using narcissists by proxy. Okay, flying monkeys, if you insist on that term. But they use flying monkeys, their proxies, to control you. You don't have your own voice. You can't think for yourself. You've got somebody else constantly pushing, pressuring you to do what the narcissist wants you to do, and the opportunity to get away from that should be taken, in my opinion. Granted, you can't always escape the narcissist. Sometimes you can. And if you can permanently, you got to do it, but there's always going to be narcissists. There will always be people with narcissistic traits, and because of that, we need to focus on the power of not the power of loneliness, but the power of aloneness. Just getting alone to get all that noise out of your life. Well, how are we going to tie all this together? Well, we're going to tie it together by just using the term self-reliance, self-control. When other people are controlling you, you're not in control, obviously. That's not self-control. The narcissist wants to convince you that it's in your best interest, that he or she control you all the time, every time. And they get quite indignant when you don't let them control you. How do you stop them? Get away from them. Dump them. Get alone. Get all by yourself. How hard is that? Well, sometimes it is kind of tough, but hey, you can do it. I know you can. There's a circle in the lower right-hand corner. Click on that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to click the bell to get notifications. Lower left-hand corner, there's a rectangle. You can access our archive or our library, past videos, and you can watch those. Well, watch them all day long if you want. And we'll see you all next time.